I don't know what the sound will be like, since I apparently can't record to the computer anymore. Go me. Heyo everybody, welcome back. We are so excited to dive in today. Let's go ahead and ground ourselves in our greatness. That's how we start every day. Let's start over. It wasn't a good start. We got to start again. Welcome. So excited to have all of you here. Let's go ahead and ground ourselves in our greatness. So my great thing from the weekend was, oh my gosh, this was the best moment ever. So I'm sitting and I'm watching both my kids play wiffle ball. Oh no, one was on the swing, one was playing wiffle ball, and she's older, so she's 6, and she was playing wiffle ball, and then they took a little drink break, and she just sprints over to me, running as fast as she can. She goes, "Mom, I just need a hug break," and gave me the biggest hug ever, and I have no idea why, but it was so magical. Like the greatest thing that I could ever imagine. And her just paying attention to me in that moment just made me feel so loved and so whole, and it was so beautiful and magical. And like, she's nearing the age where that's not going to be a thing pretty soon. And so I was just like holding that moment so near and dear to my heart. And however I raised her to make that decision to go give that hug, I am so grateful for however I did that. Still not sure how I raised such a child that would do such a thing, but I am so here for that movement. So that's my great thing. Go ahead and take time. Take it. Today, I give you the time. Find time in your day. Speak your own greatness into existence, right? That's how we start flexing that muscle. That's how we have to do it. You have to flex that muscle more. Otherwise, it can't grow. And your greatness is going to be vital in how life responds to you. If you want average, if you want everyday, which even if you wanted to live the smallest life possible that you could ever dream up, I still want you to be able to speak to your greatness. Because, do not even kid yourself that it is not going to be called on. No matter what you do, your greatness is going to be called on. And so I need you to be able to speak to it when necessary. All things necessary, but greatness over everything. Over everything. It's going to be called on. So let's go ahead and dive in. I'm so excited for today because I've been thinking a lot on this topic, and it's kind of like how, if you were just starting out on this like journey of, hey, my life just doesn't feel quite right. Like, I feel close, but I still know that I'm not there. If you're just starting out on that journey, I've been thinking this weekend about like, well, how do you just start? How do you just get going? Because for those of us who have been swimming for a while, who have been like, well, it feels okay. Like, it feels fine. I think I just did a podcast not too long ago on that feeling of it's fine, right? And fine gives us a way out, right? If we're always just, it's so non-committal. It's so here, there, and everywhere, but it's so not what we are, right? Fine is the least committal word that you can give to what you're feeling, and I want you to commit fully. I don't want you to be like I was, still recovering, still go there once in a while, but I want you to be able to come fully into who you know you are and who you feel you are, right? Because you can feel her being released. You can feel her coming back. And every second that you feel her, that you trust her, that you know her, the one that's coming into stride, the one that gets to break free once in a while, the one that's not fine, the one that's great, that one. When you feel her come out, what is she doing? Right? When your response is, great. How's your day going? Great. How's your day going? Amazing. What are you doing? And that's where I want you to go, and that's where I want you to shift your energy and your thoughts. What are you doing in those moments? When time could fly by you and you not even open your eyes. What are you doing? Think about it. Take some time. Close your eyes. Take time with that question. And then that's where we start to build. That's where we start to think. That's where we start to go, right? Because the reality is most of us can't just put our feet up on a yacht and enjoy the finer things in life, right? I mean, someday. Goals. Hashtag goals. But for those of us who can't do that right now, what does that work life look like? What does it look like if we were going to go all in on something that we know we'd wake up for every day? Like alive, like feet hit the floor, running. Right? And that's such a great way to test it. So one of my things is if there's something that you want to do, if you have a list, if you have a dream list, if you have an idea of what your dream life could look like, I want you to pick, if you were going to start today and start going all in, I want you to pick the one that is closest to your grasp right now. Right? The one that you could pick up and do tomorrow if you had to. So for me, here's a great example. I had writing and speaking. And seemingly, as you compare the two, writing seems a lot easier. So you can just write all day long. You can just do that. And so I was like, oh, okay, that's what I'll start on. I'll go there. All right. And it just wasn't flowing. I couldn't find anything there. I couldn't find any breath there. It wasn't that I didn't want to do it. It was just man, this just feels so complicated. It feels so forced. And so I probably went down that path for about 2 weeks, and I was just it just isn't happening. It's not here. And then I was like, you know what? Let's just go back to speaking. Can you speak every day? How do you speak every day? How could you do that? Well, then I'm well, I guess if it was going to happen, what do I do I work every day. So where in that work could I find space to speak every day? And I started to speak more, and I started to sign up for more that aligned with that, and I was starting to feel it, and then I realized it's not happening every day, and every day is the goal. And so I pull back and I decide, well, if you were going to do it, you could podcast every day. That's perfectly in your grasp. Just takes a microphone and understanding how to podcast, but we don't even have to have that figured out today. If you were going to speak every day, how would you do that? Because writing isn't happening right now. Not that dream gets thrown away because we weren't successful there, just that it's not the closest, right? It's not within our grasp right now. It just isn't happening. It's not flowing, and we need to start with a win. If it gets painful, we're not finding a flow there. It's not that it can't come back. It's just that we need you to be able to win. So what can you do? And a great test is start challenging what you're willing to wake up for, right? And I'm a morning person, so flip that however you need that narrative to fit, what you're willing to stay up for, or what you're willing to wake up for. Because a great test of if you would wake up and do this every day is making yourself wake up at 3 a.m. every day to make it happen, right? Will you actually do this every day? Is this actually going to continually sustain your energy and your love for this? Are you willing to go there even before you have all the things that'll keep driving you? Right? Because once you become successful, boom, put her on cruise control. You got this, sis. Go. But before that time, can you commit on that level? Can you make sacrifices? Can you sacrifice some sleep or rearrange your schedule so you can make it happen for yourself? Are you willing to do that? Do you even want to do that? Right? And that's such a great test, because for a lot of people, it's going to start as kind of this side hustle idea of what you want to construct and what you are here on this earth to do. And that may be happening in tandem with what you have going on right now. And that's such a beautiful place to be in, because you really find and refine what this is going to look like for your life, right? And you kind of do that in an incubator space, and it's safe there. And so that's really a beautiful part. That's a beautiful portion of this work. That's such a beautiful space to be in, that kind of beginner phase, right? And so if you wanted to start today, if you wanted to start really manifesting your dream life, if that was what you wanted to do, there are steps that you can start taking today. And you can go, no, my dreams are too crazy. First off, we aren't allowing that word back in this podcast. We are not assigning crazy to anything. I used to call myself crazy at least 3 times a day. And this is what it would sound like. Hey, yeah, I know. I realize I'm crazy. No. Passionate? Yes. A super enthusiastic person for all things that excite me? Yes. Crazy? No. I'm not really willing to embrace that anymore. And I'm not willing to embrace this idea that I'm so drastically different. And the second that you start thinking that I'm different and that I'm out there and that I'm all these things, you're right. You're so right. Where I'm not willing to go back to is to sign that off as something that isn't awesome about me. Right? I know. It is in my very DNA to be this extra. And this extra is exactly how I want to show up in the world. Just is. Don't want to take up less space. I don't. You know, and I was having such a beautiful conversation with my sister, and she's like, well, I mean, some people just want to just have this small, normal, wonderful life. And I'm like, yeah, of course they do. And that's such a beautiful thing. And being willing to even commit to that and knowing that is further than most people get, right? And for the longest time, I thought in my head, like, oh, those people, they should do more. They should want more. They should be bigger. And then when I really started to press on that, when I really started to question if that's true or not, I started to realize that they're way more aligned than I ever was, right? They actually have more figured out than me, because I'm just signing up for anything that's going to get me success as fast as possible. And they actually know and are willing to say what success looks like. I had no definitive answer of success for myself. I was just like, I don't know. maybe this is what it looks like. Maybe this is what it looks like. If you want to go back, I explained this in Are You My Mother? There's a podcast episode, and you'll have to go way, 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 way back. But I explained this idea of like, oh, okay. So that wasn't it. And this was before I kind of went down this journey of creating dreams. But this was kind of in the in-between moment of having reached all of my dreams that I had set for my life and wanting new ones. And in that between moment, I had to really reconstruct and rethink what that was going to look like for me. Because prior to that moment, prior to that realization that everything was gone, that every dream that I had already accomplished, I had set these small dreams that were so easy, right? Especially compared to things that I had dreamt before, right? And I had never dreamt small in my entire life. And then I just decide, because I had been kind of wounded. I was like a bird with one wing broken. Like, well, we can't really fly well from here, so we better just kind of wait it out. Go in safe, easy, and comfortable. Let's not get hurt again. Because the last time that you tried to fly and go crazy, we broke a wing. You lost. So right here, right in this moment, you dream small. Right? And so for all of you who are sitting there going, oh, I know I dreamt too small for my life. I've always been a dreamer. I've always been someone who wanted more. I've always been someone who just has this internal hunger for bigger, greater things. I always accomplish what I set out to accomplish. If you're sitting there totally vibing with what I'm saying, this is what I'm going to tell you. You probably went too small. And I don't blame you, right? If you're a big, beautiful dreamer and you dreamed and you dreamt out loud and you were ferocious about it and you told everyone, and then somewhere in there that dream kind of died, and now you're recovering from that moment, right? Hey, if you didn't know what the title of this podcast meant, now you know. The death of that dream does not define you. That's the entirety of how this podcast started. I kind of went back and I retraced my steps and I tried to figure out how I got here and how I could recover from this suffocating feeling that I was done. That my life was done. That everything from here on out would just kind of be written for me and I had no say any longer. I had accomplished everything. Right? And I had one dream left, and honestly, I could probably have reached it right then if I just wanted to snap my fingers. And so I started to make that one more challenging, like, oh no, if we were going to build a house, then we'd have to pay cash for it. Let's pay cash for our house. And so then I'm like, oh, okay, there's a new challenge. Guess I'll just focus on my kids now. I don't really have any dreams other than that one, but that one's going to take a while, so all right. So this is what you do now. Just kind of do it. Do the thing. Okay. Cool. I don't know. What dream should I have? And that's what I would ask people. I don't know. What should I do? What am I good at? You tell me. And I just sit there with like this big, agaped face, like, okay. Here, like raising my hand, sitting cross-legged. I'm just seeing myself as like an adult human in this group of adult humans sitting cross-legged in a little kindergarten circle, and the teacher or the boss is sitting right there, and I'm just sitting there like raising my hand, like, and me, pick me. Tell me what I'm supposed to do. Right here. This, help me. Help me. Help me. I got nothing. I kind of did everything. So like, what now? Teacher, what now? What do we do now? Just wondering. Asking for a friend, what's the direction? Right? And slowly but surely I start realizing, oh, okay, so you're not going to have a say in this anymore. Right? And it's so funny because as I start to retrace my step, I start to realize that I had set my entire life up to not have a say. That actually every decision that I had made was based on this 7-year-old realization that my life wasn't up to me. Right? And so at 7, I realized that, and I become that person that I just talked about. The person who was just waiting on the kindergarten floor going, oh, okay, it's not really up to me, so can you just give me the assignment? Can you just hand me the next dream? Like, do you see anything in me? Do you see any worth or any good in me? And can you go ahead and tell me what that is so then I can just chase after whatever you think it should be? I'm waiting, right? And I've been doing that since I was 7. So you can imagine what the recovery process had to look like to come back from that, right? And how many times do we just hand that ball off? Like, okay, yeah, if it was going to happen, it would have played out this way. So today, this very day, if you're sitting there and you're listening to this and you're going, oh, yeah, I get that feeling of fine, that feeling of good but not quite good enough, but not really willing to show up and say that because of, I don't know, a million different reasons. What if you offend someone? What if chasing your dreams means that you'll fail again? What if saying your dreams out loud scares other people? What if that means you're going to have to find new people? What if that means that you actually start going after something and you don't make it? What if that means that you dream new dreams but you never get there? I'm just going to ask you this. If there is something that you want to do, that you can see so clearly in your head as like, this is what my life would look like if I was going to dream as big as I possibly could. Are you not willing to do it? Are you not willing to do what it takes? And I'm asking myself this question because, even as I work through what this is going to look like, there are days where I just shy back and I'm like, you know what? Just be easier. Be easier to go back. But I can't unsee that. I can't unknow what I know now because I know that it's all possible. And I realize that this exact thing, this podcast, this moment, this morning practice is something that I can't not do now. I allowed myself to go there, and it was as simple as what we're talking about today. You pick one thing that's within grasp on your dream list, right? So it might not be moving to Tahiti. I don't know what your life looks like. Is Tahiti a place? I think it is. Okay. It might not be moving to Tahiti today, right? But that might be your dream. So if that's the closest one, because everything else is like build a $20 million house on my island in Tahiti. Okay? I don't even know if Tahiti has islands. I'm just saying, like, bear with me. If that's the second dream, then Tahiti might be the most realistic step. So, if you were going to take the smallest step towards that dream, towards moving to Tahiti, what would that look like today? If you were going to start to make moves there. Okay, just give me a list of things that you could do today to start that process. Right? I don't know. Let's look at houses. Let's look at our budget. What do we need to start saving? if we know that houses in Tahiti are $2 million, then I don't know, we better have a little bit of money put away for that thought. How much is a plane ticket? Maybe we start saving for the plane ticket first. Maybe we go to Tahiti first. Do we even really want to do that? Let's take a vacation there. Let's go try it out. What does it look like? Who are we when we go there? Who do we become? Is this what we certainly want? Then, I don't know, maybe we start looking at jobs there. What did jobs look like in Tahiti? Or maybe we start building a freedom-based business that could just go with us there, that could sustain us there, that could sustain us anywhere that we go. So we can actually go visit there, so someday we can live there, whatever that looks like, right? But I want you to just break it down to the first step that's in front of you. And go ahead and take some time there. Make it happen. And the second that you start to feel comfortable and confident there, I want you to adopt a new step into that flow, right? So it could look like this. My first step towards my dream life looked like starting to write. I never got comfortable there. I never felt a vibe there with that work. I couldn't get into a good routine with it. It just felt so forced that I had to stop. That wasn't working. That wasn't where it was going to be at. I could see why it worked for a lot of people, but it just wasn't the movement that I wanted to see, and I couldn't make it happen. Right? So I started to podcast, and that came naturally. But I didn't start to podcast and publish and produce and do all the things and edit and figure that out. Literally just recorded audio. Never published, didn't know how to do that, had no idea, just started recording audio because all I had to do was push record. Okay, I can figure that out. So once I started to figure that out, once I got comfortable recording every day, just hitting record, then I start figuring out how to record and produce, right? Then I start figuring out how to record, produce, and publish. Then I start figuring out how to record, produce, publish, and post. Boom. And so that process took about 4 months, but it was all in breaking it down. And the second that I started to feel kind of overwhelmed, I just pull myself back. Okay, but we can just record audio. We know how to do that. So that's like our first step that's right in front of us. Let's just do the easiest thing. Right? Even at that point, all I was doing was capturing that audio. That's it. Recording it in like just a regular audio recorder on my computer. Okay? That's all. That was the first step. And that helped so much in finding my voice and figuring out how to do this and figuring out how to construct a show and figuring out how to take a step. But that's what I want you to do. I want you to take the closest, most comfortable step to you with whatever it is. And don't do like all 10 of your dreams that are on your dream board. Pick one. And I want you to pick the easiest one because it is so important that we start to find a win. Because if you set yourself up to go run a marathon in a week and you fail, because who the wouldn't, right? Then you're not going to feel like this is doable. I want you to start with what is doable, and I want you to find a win. So break it down to the most doable position possible. What's the easiest thing that you could find a win on and get comfortable with, right? Are you just pushing record on your computer? right? And that's how you start your podcast. And then you start to get comfortable there. And then you start to add in more things and more things. But I want you to get to the point where you feel comfortable, where you feel like this is doable. And honestly, it's probably going to be right around that, like 4 to 6 week. That's the window. And once you start to feel comfort there, then maybe take the next step. And don't overcomplicate or over concern your work here. Okay? The second that you start to feel stress, I want you to pull back and just go into what you know. Figure that out. Feel it out there. And then once you feel like you can move, start moving. Okay? And if it gets uncomfortable, you might have taken a step too far. Break it down. Make it easier. Okay? And if you need to go learn, my only rule on learning is that you set a time limit, right? And a budget. Okay? If you want to go learn, I set out on this journey and I said that I would never spend anything that I didn't make on this business. I'm still committed to that. I still have not spent one dime learning. Okay? So set your budget, keep that in mind, because otherwise you'll spend $1 billion learning how to do Instagram post. Because trust me, these things are set up to funnel you in. You'll spend a lot of money if you don't set yourself a budget. So set yourself a budget and set yourself a research window. And so maybe that's, for me, my sweet spot is 2 weeks. If I go over that, I'm just going into a wormhole and I'm going to get lost before I get found. But I want you to really just start with the smallest step, with one thing. Don't start working on all 10. That's not realistic. I need you to start getting comfortable flexing that muscle. What does it look like if you broke down one dream all the way down to the smallest step possible? And that's where I'm going to have you start. Okay? Start flexing that success muscle. And success looks like whatever you define it as. Okay? It doesn't look like, hey, Hannah, you're going to start a podcast and you're going to get, 1 million downloads. Okay? That's not today. That's not success for me today. Right? Maybe that's a future goal, but today success looks like understanding how to produce, understanding how to publish, understanding how to post, understanding all of these things. And that's the smallest step today. I'm not going to be at 1 million tomorrow. Right? So break it all the way down. Thanks for being here today. If you want to check out more, so for coaching opportunities, for all opportunities, you can head over to nussinc.com. That's where you'll find me. Go ahead and pop into the chat if you have questions about today's episode or you need any guidance related to, boom, crushing limiting beliefs. We cannot have those hold you back anymore, sister. You are better than that. Boom, finding alignment with your life and truly manifesting your dream life. I can help you with all of that. Based on the steps that I created for myself to find success here. To start aligning my own life because I was so wildly lost. Right? So head over there, check that out. You can find me anywhere. Just pop into any chat. I'd love to connect with you and start talking through how you plan to move through, right? And if you need help breaking down those steps, if you need help like, hey, I don't know how to break this one down smaller, I get you. I would love to connect with you on that. So there's a chat at Nuss Inc. You can chat me there. Otherwise, you can find me on all the socials, Hannah Nuss. As always, you're smart, you're strong, you're beautiful. What are you going to do? Change